In the cold and fierce Atlantic Ocean, where waves crash and winds howl day and night, cod fishing boats set out from the harbor in the glimmering light of dawn. Cod, a highly valuable fish and a staple food for many nations, lives mainly in deep, cold waters, especially near the seabed, where there are strong currents and low temperatures. To catch them, fishermen must apply many modern and high-tech methods, combined with the experience passed down from their ancestors. When the ship weighs anchor, modern radar, sonar and positioning systems are turned on to locate schools of cod that move seasonally and at depth. After discovering an area with a high density of fish, the captain orders the use of a bottom trawl, a giant net designed to drift near the seabed where cod often gather to feed. A system of thick steel cables and powerful winches drag the net for hours across the ocean floor, skimming through every crevice. Sand and icy water. The cod are caught in schools, struggling between the narrow meshes, while the crew closely monitors parameters such as drag force, depth, and speed to adjust the net accordingly, avoiding tearing or getting tangled in coral reefs. Once the drag is complete, the crew uses a system of cranes and pulleys to lift the entire multi-ton net onto the deck. Salt water splashes everywhere, and hundreds of silvery white cod fall onto the slippery wet deck, creating a chaotic but equally exciting scene. Workers immediately sort, weigh, and freeze the fish to ensure they stay fresh until they reach port. In addition to bottom trawling, some vessels also use hand lines or multi-hook lines to accurately catch adult cod, avoiding juveniles and non-target species, in order to protect the marine ecosystem. Although this technique is time-consuming and labor-intensive, it produces a higher quality product that is popular in the market and has a high price. During peak season, fishermen can work day and night, taking turns, braving cold winds and big waves, just to catch the maximum amount of fish before the school moves away from this sea. The journey to catch Atlantic cod is a combination of technology, human power and perseverance, a testament to the determination and courage of people attached to the sea, where each fish is the result of sweat, blood and always lurking dangers. Each successful catch is not only the joy of the fisherman but also a symbol of survival for an entire coastal community, where the sea is not only a place to make a living but also the soul of culture and traditions that have been passed down through many generations. As the ships continued their journey through the pitch-black night, the lights from the deck illuminating the white waves, the sailors continued to work tirelessly. Each shift lasted 4 hours in the bitter cold, their hands red from the cold water and fierce winds. But no one complained. They understood that their time at sea was limited, and that each day would determine the success or failure of the entire trip. The ship's refrigeration systems worked round the clock, keeping the fish at sub-zero temperatures, ensuring that when the ship stopped, each cod was as fresh as if it had just been caught from the water. Modern technology played a key role, but the skills and experience of the fishermen remained irreplaceable. Only those who had spent dozens of trips at sea were able to read the slightest changes in the currents, in the colors on the sonar screen, or simply have a hunch about the presence of cod at the bottom. When the seas are rough, the waves are higher than the ship's hull, the wind is howling. They are forced to make life or death decisions, continue to cast their nets or retreat to save their lives. Many times, big storms have torn the nets, severely damaged the equipment, even capsized the boats, taking the lives of the most experienced fishermen. Each trip is like a gamble, betting with sweat, blood and even life. But for them, the sea is their flesh and blood. The only place where they can make a living and nurture hope. When the ship is full of fish, cheers echo across the deck like a victorious march in the vast ocean. The long-bodied cod, their scales sparkling in the morning light, are carefully arranged into batches, ready for the journey back to shore. But there is never complacency, because the journey from the fishing grounds to the mainland is also full of dangers. Weather can change abruptly. Ice can paralyze machinery. And sometimes the invisible waves are the most dangerous enemy. Once in port, the fish are quickly unloaded and transported to processing plants or markets. Each cod is the result of hundreds of hours of hard work, the crystallization of courage, ingenuity, and a deep love between humans and the sea. The journey to catch cod in the Atlantic is not simply a job, but also a symbol of resilience, of a long-standing fishing tradition passed down from generation to generation. Despite the harsh challenges the ocean brings once the fish are unloaded from the boat, their journey is not over. At processing plants near the port, the cod is processed immediately to ensure optimal quality. Workers in deep freeze environments, wearing thick gloves and protective clothing, sort the fish by size and intended use. Most cod is filleted, deboned, skinned and gutted, then frozen or vacuum packed for export. Some is processed on site into salted or dried fish, or sliced for fine dining in Europe, North America and Japan. A tight supply chain from fishing boat to factory ensures that the cod does not spoil, retaining the delicious, distinctive flavor that diners around the world love. However, behind this growth comes enormous pressure to protect fisheries. Cod is a slow-growing species that is vulnerable to overfishing if not managed carefully. As a result, many international organizations and coastal authorities have established strict regulations on fishing quotas, permitted fishing seasons, minimum sizes, and even no fishing zones to preserve marine ecosystems. Fishing vessels must have valid licenses, be equipped with satellite location monitoring devices, and report their catches regularly. Any fishing that exceeds quotas or violates no fishing zones is severely punished. Even banned from operating. This has forced many fleets to change their operations, focusing more on responsible fishing and investing in sustainable technology. Some longtime fishermen shared that, compared to previous years, Cod catches are slightly down due to climate change and changes in ocean currents. This makes the job even more difficult, requiring them to travel farther, dive deeper, and work longer hours to achieve the same catch. Yet most of them persevere in their profession, because the sea is not only a place to make a living but also a source of identity, memory and pride. Every time the sun sets over the cold sea, the ships quietly cut through the waves, carrying the hopes of an entire coastal community. And in each piece of soft, delicious, nutritious cod sold in supermarkets and restaurants around the world, people not only taste the deliciousness of the sea but also feel the sweat. Sacrifice and courage of fishermen in the harshest seas on the planet at the height of the cod season. The harbor becomes a hive of activity. Refrigerated trucks line up to pick up their cargo, and the sound of ships' horns, cranes, and workers' shouts as they transport fish echo throughout the region. This is not only a golden season for fishermen, but also a source of income for hundreds of stevedores, processors, drivers, inspectors, and traders. This excitement is a testament to the importance of cod to the coastal economy. In some small fishing villages, the cod season takes on a festive feel. Children are off school to help their families dry the fish. Women prepare hot meals while waiting for their husbands and children to return. And the elderly sit quietly on the hillsides, watching the horizon as the ships return. Many communities still maintain the traditional practice of salting cod and drying it on large wooden racks outdoors. A familiar image that has been associated with North Atlantic culture for hundreds of years. Cod is not only food but also a symbol, a part of the flesh and blood of the people in the cold sea. Many stories, folk songs, and ancient legends have been created around the journey to catch this fish. Seafarers often recount the times they encountered big storms, torn nets, and almost capsized ships but still did not give up. Because in their minds, cod is not only prey but also a measure of human courage and perseverance in the face of fierce nature. And in an increasingly commercialized world, where many traditional occupations are gradually replaced by machines, the journey to catch cod in the middle of the Atlantic still retains its primitive, authentic, and humane beauty. Hands calloused by frost, eyes red from lack of sleep, laughter in the cold rain and wind on the deck, all create a vivid picture of people and the sea, of labor and faith. That journey, no matter how arduous, continues every day, every season, every generation, like the unceasing beat of a heart connected to the vast ocean. As the fishing season draws to a close, the seas calm down, the boats return to their moorings in the harbor, and the fishermen finally get some rest after months at sea. However, the time on shore is not for complete relaxation, but for checking equipment, repairing machinery, mending torn nets, upgrading cooling systems, servicing engines, all in preparation for the next fishing season. Each trip to sea not only consumes energy but also requires large expenses, from fuel, food reserves, labor to taxes and insurance. Therefore, if a fishing season fails, many families have to borrow money to make ends meet, or temporarily quit the profession to wait for another opportunity. But few of them can stay away from the sea forever. The call of the ocean, the strong smell of fish, the sound of waves lapping against the ship, the excitement of pulling up a net full of cod, all have become an indelible part of the memories, deeply imprinted in the minds of those who work in the sea. Their children, who have been accustomed to seeing their parents at sea for long periods of time since childhood, have gradually been introduced to the profession. Some learn to steer ships, some follow in their footsteps as mechanics on tugboats, and some become experts in operating modern sonar equipment, combining traditional experience with new technology to improve fishing efficiency. This interweaving helps the cod fishery not to disappear but to gradually adapt to the times and develop more sustainably. In many Nordic and North American countries, cod is not only a fishing industry but also a national symbol. There are even cod museums and festivals held annually to honor seafarers and educate the younger generation about the importance of the ocean and fishing. Books, films and reality TV shows about cod fishing have helped bring the image of fishermen to the world, showing them not only as manual laborers but also as silent warriors facing nature, living with courage and faith in the sea. In an era where climate change is strongly affecting marine resources, protecting cod is not just the task of fishermen but the responsibility of all humanity. Keeping the seas clean, establishing marine reserves, investing in ocean ecosystem research, and most importantly, consuming responsibly, these are essential actions to keep the cod fishery alive. Not just in a few years, but for centuries to come. Because as long as the ocean is full of fish, boats will continue to sail far. Children of the sea will continue to believe in their ancestors' traditional craft. And coastal communities will continue to live on the generosity and mystery of the vast ocean as the new sea season approaches. The boats are repainted, refueled, and every detail of the navigation system, radar, trawls, and cold storage is checked. The old sailors gather together, along with a few new young faces, who are taking their boats out to sea for the first time, their eyes still filled with excitement and anxiety. Before leaving the dock, sometimes the whole village comes out to see them off. The elders giving instructions, the women handing over hastily wrapped food, the children holding their fathers' hands to say goodbye. Then the ship's whistle breaks the quiet morning. The ships gradually disappear, leaving only white streaks of waves stretching towards the hazy horizon. The cod fishing journey is not always smooth. There are days when there is no fish to be seen. The boats have to travel hundreds of nautical miles, probing each wave, following the cold ocean currents, or relying on the tiny sonar lights on the screen to decide to drop the net. There are also times when the nets get stuck at the bottom, or are dragged up with seaweed and trash, making the whole crew frustrated. But every time they found a school of fish, the atmosphere on board exploded. The shouts of each other, the rumble of the tractors, each large cod jumping out of the net, its soft body thrashing violently, then lying still on the cold deck. Those moments drove away all fatigue. and were the only reason why thousands of people year after year clung to the ocean. There were fishermen who had devoted their lives to cod. They knew no other trade, were not good at writing or speaking, but every wrinkle on their faces was a current they had overcome. Every callus on their hands was a harsh fishing season they had survived. And although they may have been poor in money, they were rich in dignity, because they produced food for the world by their own strength and courage. Cod was not an easy species to tame. It lived deep in the sea, had complex seasonal movements, and reacted sensitively to temperature and light. To understand that, fishermen must understand the sea, understand the waves, the wind, the currents, the color of the water, even the smallest changes in the weather. Therefore, the cod fishing journey is also a journey of continuous learning. Seafarers constantly learn from failures.